I'm Micah Halpern, sitting in for the vacationing Tisha Bader, here with the JBS News Update for Thursday, September 3rd, 2015. Iran's Supreme Leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, had an official statement read on Iranian state TV earlier today. This was his first official statement about the nuclear deal. He said, quote, "There will be no deal," unquote, if the powers insist on suspending rather than lifting sanctions. He also made very clear that the parliament will debate it, approve it, or reject it, which is contrary to the suggestion and opinion of Iran's president. It is very clear that on these and every matter, the supreme leader has the final say, not the president. Khamenei said some U.S. officials have spoken of the, quote, suspension of sanctions, which he said is unacceptable. He said, "If the sanctions are going to be suspended, then we will also fulfill our obligations on the ground at the level of suspension, and not in a fundamental way." A great Jewish hero has died. His name is Mark Dimshitz, and he was 88 years old. Dimshitz was a prisoner of Zion, a refusenik. He was one of the leaders of the early years of the struggle for Russian Jews to escape persecution under Soviet rule. Dimshitz grew attention to Soviet Jewry by attempting to hijack a plane in what was then Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, on June 15, 1970. The plan was called Operation Wedding. 16 refuseniks took part in the plan, 14 Jews and 2 non-Jews. Dimshitz was a pilot, and along with his fellow dissident, Edward Kuznetsov, they planned to hijack a 12-seater Anatov An-2 plane and fly it to Israel. The group even bought up all the seats on the plane. The plan failed, and Mark Dimshitz was sentenced to death. His punishment was commuted because of world outcry. Finally, in 1979, he was freed in a swap with the USSR. The attempted hijacking and the audacity and daring of the plan drew huge attention to the plight of Soviet Jews. Dimshitz and the others who collaborated with him on the Operation Wedding, even though it failed miserably as a plan, were truly heroes. In Berlin, an amateur soccer match between a Jewish club and a non-Jewish club ended in a huge brawl. 20 people were fighting, forcing the referees to stop the game between the two rival teams. 4 people are being charged. The game was between TUS Maccabi and BFC Meteor. The shouts and insults hurled by one another were anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim barbs. Germany is the fastest growing Jewish community in the world. There are 250,000 Jews living in Germany today. On contrast, on the eve of World War II, there were 330,000 Jews living in Germany. Germany has seen, at the same time, both a renaissance and openness to Jews and an increase in anti-Semitism. At the beginning of the summer, Berlin hosted the Maccabi European Games, which is the equivalent of the Jewish Olympics. Those Maccabi Games were celebrated throughout Germany and Europe. Tower Jazz, an Israeli tech company, has announced that they have developed a technology that will enable our cell phone batteries to last much longer. Tower Jazz is now partnered with Panasonic on this technology, which reduces the amount of radio frequency, RF, used by 4G phones. Israeli cosmetic and skincare company Ahava will be bought by Fusen for $76.5 million. Fusen is the single largest privately owned Chinese conglomerate. This deal was reported in Globes. Ahava, which makes skincare products from the Dead Sea minerals, is located on the edge of the Dead Sea, but it is also technically in the West Bank. Since June, Ahava has been considering relocating its factory and moving it out of the West Bank. This move to another part of the country could be related to the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement, which seeks to damage Israel's economy because of its policies against the Palestinians. The BDS movement, however, did not discourage the Chinese from buying the majority share in the company. And now for a rundown of tonight's broadcast on JBS for Thursday, September 3rd, 2015. At 8, former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Michael Oren, talks about his new book, Ally. And at 9, we have a visit to Karnei Shomron. I'm Micah Halpern, and this is today's news update from JBS.